Okay, so here we have a kind of a scenario, and this is the one given on page 380. Now, for this chapter, the book supplies some spreadsheet templates. So I'm just going to go through how it was constructed. I might make a few little additions to the template to kind of improve it. But the idea is we have two products, and for each of them we have an advertising budget, which results in a certain degree of profit. Um, Now, interestingly, I'm guessing this is generated data, as I doubt a 50,000 advertising budget would lead to $50 million, $3 million in profit, but let's kind of roll with it. And another thing which I think must be kind of a prerequisite of this is that the two products are kind of independent. The sales of one product does not affect the other product, as we're considering both products completely separately when we make our model. Okay, so the first thing we do is we want to build this model of advertising versus profit. So I'm going to insert um, kind of a lot. I think what we'll do is we'll insert a scatter plot. And I'm going to call this product one. And I'm going to select the series just so I match the book. Click marker, marker options. And I think the book uses a nice little diamond. I'm also going to add some axes. Which is the advertising dollar in thousands and the profit in millions. And then we're going to fit using a trend line. So I'm just going to select this, add trend line. Now, we are fitting a logarithmic trend line. We think that this is, past a certain point, the power of our advertising is going to be lessened. So we're fitting this kind of curved line, which we think best fits the data. And we're going to display everything on the chart. And let's just make it a solid trend line. Oops, I made that a little bit too big. So that's for product one. And you see we have this kind of model here. I'm just going to stick this up here. And I'm going to make it, let's just make it a little bit bigger. Okay, now we can do the same for product two and rather go through that again. I'm just going to copy, Control C, Control V, and I'm going to call it product two. But of course, I'm going to have to change the data. And basically the data series, let's just edit it. Rather than A and B, we're going to be D and E. We'll just call it series 2. Okay, and if we look here, we've got two equations here. So for the first product, our profit is equal to 49.699 million plus 1.15 times the advertising budget in thousands. We see we have a reasonable fit there. And the second product, we're going to be 19.913 million plus 0.4177 times the advertising budget in thousands. Okay, so the idea of this model here is that we need to mess around with allocating our advertising budget. And so we have an advertising budget of possibly 500,000. We have a minimum allocation of 50,000. And we are actually going to assume that these functions between advertised budget and profit for each of the products. So I'm just going to do it as the kind of book did it, though I'm going to add a few different things. So the first thing is, rather than hard coding the coefficients, I'm going to actually put the coefficients in. So we've got the A and the B are the beta 0 and the beta 1 for each of the parameters. So we can see here that it's for product 1, we have 49.699 as our intercept. And we've got 1.1568 as kind of our slope parameter on the log. And then the second parameter is going to be, okay, what's my A? 19.913 and 0.4177. Okay, now a few things here. We actually have a minimum allocation. So we can look at this in two ways. We could look at this in terms of somebody actually is entering this data and playing around to get a profit, or we can optimize the profit using Excel solver. But first, let's put in the profit. So the profit for figure 1 is going to be this, 49.699 plus this, and most importantly, not times x, times the log of x. Plus, we're going to do the same for product 2, so it's going to be this plus this times the log of x, which in fact, let me just put these in. It's going to be C34 and B34. And we have a profit here of 78.4859 million. Now we can play around a little bit with some of these. So I could say make this 140. But that would get beyond my budget of 500,000. So it really is kind of a trade-off. I could also, what I could do is I could put a little bit of validation on my cells. So go to data, and we have a bit of data validation. And let's just say allow any decimal greater or equal to 50. And we'll do the set. We could have actually done both together, but never mind. Decimal greater or equal to 50. So now if I tried to go beyond one of the budgets, it wouldn't allow me. So I'd have to like cancel or retry. And we could actually, let's just do for the budget, assume it's not a hard limit. Let's just put equals if this is greater than 500, then print over budget of $500,000. Otherwise, it's going to be 0. Otherwise, it's actually going to be nothing because we're not going to show anything. And let's just make this bold. And let's make it red. So if I put 140,000 in here, we've gone over the budget, and we'll get over budget of 500,000. But let's just kind of do, we've already played around with Solver, but let's just try and find the best solution to this, is to go to data, data analysis, data solver. And basically we want to maximize this value by changing these values, subject to the constraints, add this is greater or equal to 50. And let's just actually just put both a greater or equal to 50. And we'll delete that. And we want to add that this one here, which is the sum, is less than or equal to 500. So we've added two constraints here, and we're trying to maximize this objective by altering these. Okay, so there's only a very small change here, which makes me think that this was kind of optimized to begin with in the model. But it was good. I think it was good practice for me to show you how we optimized. And this, we've still got the over budget. I guess this is almost just it's probably 500.00000000001. So maybe we'd actually put a little bit of tolerance on this and get rid of that. Okay, so that's it. It's just showing how to build a model and optimize a model.